You guys are on mute.
Gonna be unmuted.
You're good.
Got it.
If we ever have a Zoom where we allow it to be the whole community, there's a long process. But when it's because of a board member, it's a little bit different. He is able to attend Zoom, visible and observed. He is allowed to be a part of the discussion. He cannot vote on any resolutions unless we give 72 hours notice. So we cannot do that. And I just have to make sure that I make it public. Okay, just want to make sure it's out there. Go to the agenda. Jumping around. I'm going to turn it over. Pledge to the flag. We have to do this with our students coming up, so I'll turn it over to Mrs. Angelina.
Good evening. I would like to call up Zoe Karlstrom. I'm not sure if she's here. She is one of our students of the month. And Emma Van Valkenburg. Are either of them here? They're not. Well, let's all say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's check to see if they can come the next one. I'd love for them to be able to do it. And then, if not, we'll read it. How's that? Yep. And next, I turn it over to Mr. Dahlkamp for the March Employee of the Month.
It is my honor to honor Ms. Carrie Marzinski as our March Employee of the Month. She's been nominated by her colleagues, faculty, and staff. So Carrie is the definition of an amazing employee of the Brockton Central School District. She is so kind. We need more kindness throughout the school district. Wherever Carrie sees others in the hallway or in the office, she waves and makes sure that she shows how amazing those folks are. With a real long nomination, I'll pick out pieces of this. I highlighted because it really goes over and over what Carrie and actually her colleague April have been able to do that can make Brockton Central School very proud. And just on that, you know, if I could emulate two people who work side by side in a classroom and cohesively, the work that the both of you do together is truly amazing and something that should be highlighted. Carrie goes above and beyond in the kids' educational levels and personal level. She acknowledges them as people and respects their feelings. She will help them with schoolwork and guide them throughout their life skills. Carrie is one of the most dependable people that we know, and she gives 110% in everything that she does. Carrie is a true role model in school and out of school and other staff members. She has a compassion that shares with everyone and people in the community. Carrie is conscientious, honest, and hardworking, and she's a good example and role model for everyone. Congratulations.
Jason was just picking on me and said, Carrie's not going to do a speech, and I thought it would fix my whole. Congratulations. Congratulations. One of the things we say, if you want to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're more than welcome to. If you have other things you need to do, if there's people here that came to support you, we appreciate that you can go. You don't have to worry.
We actually have conferences still going on, so I'm going to send back to my classroom.
Of course. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, to approve the agenda for the March 16th, 2023 meeting without amendments. So moved. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the minutes of the regular meeting of February 16th, 2023. The budget status report, revenue status report, treasurer's report, claims auditor report, and warrants.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. The next will be public comments. I just want to make sure we have a lot of people here. I appreciate that. Is that when you do, you have to stand up, just say your name, and where you live, and then we limit it to. I'm just making sure I got it on the notes. It is actually limited to 3 minutes or less, and I'm supposed to keep a timer for it. Okay. We do that, and then whoever stands up first, I'll acknowledge. You want to say anything? It's okay if you don't. Yes, sir.
Great, guys.
Name and street.
Arthur Miller, 130 West Avenue.
Yep.
Nice to be here. This is like a major decision, I guess. It's very emotional. And in the past, as that old coach says, we need to leave our emotions at the door. And we just really fast. And I understand the weight of this for a couple of kids, but in the very first parent meeting, there's 2 points that were made. One, we want to take care of the majority of the kids. And there's no question which way to go for taking care of the kids. We're kids better. We do math on that. So how many seniors you had last year?
Sorry, you can't ask questions. That's what they can't.
There was 4 seniors last year. That's 4 spots that opened up on the starting team. The rest of the team is full. For all of the kids in Westfield that were on the team and all of the kids in Brockton. That's not good numbers for us. We have a group of kids that competed against Division B schools and won. We have a nice core of kids. We have them, and they will win this year if we have the opportunity. We're never going to get that opportunity to keep. We've had a great opportunity to give their kids to us, start working some chemistry for their varsity program. They chose to keep their kids there. That kind of tells me they were thinking about us in the future. There's no reason for us at all to send the kids there. It's completely insane. I've got a lot more things to say. I know students, so I'll let somebody else talk.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead, Dave.
Longer. I think, talking about the same subject, I don't know what to say. That's one thing. But, my question is the sustainability of having a program in Brockton. I don't think there's any doubt that we can field enough players, field teams in the next couple of years. But beyond that, it's certainly what I'm concerned with. Looking the numbers I've seen, it doesn't look like this would be a sustainable thing for Brockton. Looks like maybe it's 2 years, and then beyond that, what do we do? Do we go back to Westfield? Do we try to team up with another school? And that's my thing. Is how long?
Thank you.
Brian Nudie, 4910 Webster Road. I understand everybody's feelings in this. If I was the Gattos, I'd be supporting my boys and wanting to do what they want to do. But again, as Mr. Miller was saying, and Section 6 rules state, if we can support a team, there's no reason to merge. If we can support a team, and if we want to do the majority, will they be the highest level? Actively out there playing, you don't know that. Will it be sustainable after 2 years? We don't know that until we actually offer it. And we have those kids seeing, well, we have a team that we can play for, which as of right now, varsity teams are far and few at Brock. So to think about having a homecoming with your own team, your own green on the field, is very, very important for just the whole school spirit thing. As not just this for the kids, but as a community to come together. And I just believe that's very important also. So it's not just about the sustainability of it, because until you offer it, you know, what will come basically is the question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nathan Gatto, 90601, I understand that it's for a majority of the kids, but in my mind and understanding is why force a kid who's not ready for a program to play at a higher level. I feel if we were to keep this merged and you have that JV option, where if you are not ready, you go down, play your year on JV, you get the skills, you get the, not IQ, the sense of the game. And you play at the competition that you are ready for on the lower level, instead of being forced to play at the upper level, chasing the game and not really knowing what's truly going on.
Apparently, one of the other points that we made was that
Could you just say it again? I'm sorry.
at the first meeting, they said that it would be illegal to merge for competitive reasons. And that is exactly what we do with the team. So it wouldn't technically be legal for us to do that. Mr. Moody made a valid point. Building they will come. I guarantee you, if you say, hey, Skinner's going to be coaching here next year, he's going to want to match that. There's no question about it. And he's got tons of experience. He played in college. He's hands down the best coach in this league. No question about it. But we could just lose all of that. Or there's kids that, like in this town, last night, this father's week, my son asked me last night, Dad, do you think I can work a 20-hour-a-week job? Geez, man, I don't know. I don't think you can. It's too active. And if we're going to merge these sports, because he's going to be 16, he wants to buy his own vehicle. I respect that. I want to support that. But if we merge these teams, he's going to be spending a lot of time on buses. He's not going to be able to get it's going to become a problem. So he is one of all the kids in this town. This is a low-income family town. If I had kids when I coached, they needed this. They needed to be a part of something. It didn't matter if we won or lost. I didn't care about that. We didn't talk about we got to win. And then we started winning. You know, we started focusing on being better people, how to be successful. Not just what wins and losses, where we go. That doesn't matter. None of that's relevant in the town this big. I played sports here. I don't remember what games we won and lost. It doesn't mean anything. But what matters is the kids having the opportunity to actually be a part of something. I had kids on my team that should have never played soccer, ever. But they're part of something, so they need it. This school has a lot of those kids. They have absolutely nothing to do. I had a kid who won, and this is the last story. He played for me. He was in trouble all the time. He was on drugs after school. He overdosed. He went to a rehab center. None of that stuff he wouldn't have made it out. Right now, he was making over $100,000 a year at Verizon. Just quit that job and went to a real estate company and sold his first house. I was all over that kid every day. Your potential is endless. Your potential is endless. Those kids are going to hear that if we send them to us. Our kids need to hear it. They need it. They need that experience. It's not going to happen if we keep on sending somewhere where we just can't trust. Thank you.
Kathy Gatto, Walton Road. I'm going to word a question as a statement. I'm hoping we can see the survey results to show the numbers of supporting or not supporting our Birch program. Thank you.
Hold on, before we do it, because now it's getting into a back and forth. I have to make sure that there's if other people want to speak. It's one of the things that's required, okay? So, sorry.
Yes, McIntyre, Portland, New York.
Thank you, sir.
I'm not here as a parent, I'm here as a grandparent. But you've seen it, and we've all seen it. Nothing discourages a child more than being on a team and not playing.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? All right, I know you're going to say something more, so please.
I mean, if we're going to take care of the majority of kids, there's no question. No question. I understand the emotions and where we've been, but there's nothing saying in 2 years that we can't reopen the bridge to Westfield if it's necessary. But if we don't at least have the opportunity to build something here, what do we do? What's the point? We're just cutting opportunities for children by sending them there at this point in time. It wasn't like that 5 years ago, but it is now. So now we have to make a change. And if we're not going to, we're going to hurt a lot of kids.
Yes, sir.
Gary Gustafson, 57 Central. I'm going to also try to do it as a statement. I was not aware of a survey that was put out whether we support or not support the merge. Okay. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Last call.
One more time.
I've got to limit how many times it
This
goes
will be my
over.
last time. If there was a survey done and it wasn't presented to the kids, like we have 3 positions open on this field. And what is the survey really doing? The kids didn't really get a real grasp of what they're actually having to fight for.
And when we go into the motion form, the board will be discussing it. You'll be able to listen to us. The one thing is we can't interact with all of you. So when we do the discussion, I have a feeling that some of the information will come out that people are wondering and questioning. So that'll help us a little bit, okay? And I waited too long, so I have to just log back in. Communications of the board president. I think the only thing for me is that we did get some more communications for the BOCES people that wanted to run for the BOCES board. I still have to, and I'm going to work with Mr. Delkamp and Ashley on getting a letter to them. I want to know what their, I, as the board, would like to know what their stance is on meeting the needs of our students that may have special needs or may need alternative education. If they want us to vote for them on the board, we should know that. And that was from the last meeting. Does that still seem the way that people want me to approach it? We'll find out, you know, if they say they're going to help us in certain ways, they need to do it. Okay. I think that was all. Communications of the middle high school principal. Oh, not here. That was after your presentation. Because you have a presentation first. That's why we were doing that first. Made me nervous.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, our students are here tonight.
We are proposing that the board approves a 3-day trip to New York City for the class of 2020. If Bianca would like to just give you some info on the dates that we're looking at. We're looking at June and going from the 10th to the 7th. And the reason we chose those dates, just so you know, a lot of the seniors are participating in the BOCES programs and we were concerned about missing internships. So it has to be later. And we also figured out the price for a quad room for a portable military So per person, this is before fundraisers, however, we have one more fundraiser to do. It'll be $968 per person for a quadrillion.
Is that for the whole trip or is that for just the parade?
For the entire trip.
Okay.
And that includes all of the couple dinners that are included, the Broadway show, the ferry trip to the Statue of Liberty, everything that's on the itinerary that I believe you guys have a copy of. The Empire State Building, all of that. So that'll include all of that. The one thing that might change the cost just a little bit, I didn't realize that we were able to ask for security at night in the hotel. So I think that's something that we probably will explore. And that would come out to be about $38 a student that towards their cost for that. So that might increase a little bit. I will continue talking with the touring company and look into that further. Oh, yeah, you can pause it. Sure.
I wrote a letter to Joseph Baker, one of the main people at Jamestown Plastics, just up the road. And I asked him to help sponsor the trip, and he said he would get in contact with Mr. Beltran, but I just heard that news today, so I don't know if it actually happened yet or not.
Check the spam.
Yeah, I know my mom said he's gonna end up calling me. That's important.
Going through here, I'm just trying to make sure. Insurance, we do
Yes.
this sometimes with international ones. Just want to ask that question.
Yes, they do offer it if the students want it. They do have insurance. And then there's also for the tour inclusions, we have accident coverage, illness, dental injury, you know, a few of those items. But yes, there is comprehensive insurance if the kids.
If there's two individuals that just want to stay in the room together, can they alter the rate for those two individuals?
It would be more.
Right, yes, of course it would be more.
They
but
certainly can, yes.
if there were two students that wanted that option, that would be allowed.
Yeah.
They could alter it.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we can change it. And the cost for a double room right now, as it stands without the security, would be $1,098 per student.
Gotcha. I'm sorry, I'm asking two questions. I think it's a wonderful trip. So, with this, there's a motion on this for later. So,
Okay, it's the first motion though.
So,
Already have conferences, can we change or something?
I can text you.
Oh, okay, yes.
yeah, not a problem at all. If the students want to stay, you can. If you don't, and you just want to have a text afterwards, we understand either way.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Switching from middle high school, was it? So the after the board president, it was going to be superintendent, then we flip flop the two, so you can go before Jason. It's going to be.
So I just want to outline the recent trips that we've made in middle and high school. It's a rarity that I say no when students are afforded some form of trip for exposure or featuring their careers. So most recently, our students 10th through 12th grade went to construction trade fair and had the opportunity to do different trades in the area to include electrician, roofing, painting, heavy equipment, bricklaying, among others. And the students learned about the process of doing an apprenticeship and becoming a member of one of the construction unions, as well as the benefits that are available to them. As you know, we are headed towards a trending in the trade. So this was really good for our students to be a part of. They also attended the National College Fair. That's the other side of where our students may have had someday. And those 11th grade students went to the National College Fair at the Buffalo Convention Center. And there were hundreds of different colleges where the students could meet the representatives and gather more information on those trips. Next week, we have our students attending the Skills Trade Fair and the Industry Expo, which is sponsored by Be Your Own Hero. And those are 11th and 12th grade students, and they will be able to participate in this event to, again, learn about different employment opportunities, keeping it local in Western New York. And there will be over 100 different employees looking to hire students full and part-time and apply for internships, co-ops, and discuss different options available. In addition, we had our substitute, Jared Trickle, who's doing a phenomenal job filling in for Mr. Kowal. And when we talked about the opportunity of bringing kids to STEM this year, he stepped up. And apparently they successfully competed in the catapult and cardboard furniture competitions, and we came in 4th in the cardboard furniture competition. They were able to explore the projects and other competitive competitions at their leisure, as well as making the rounds on the upper level, speaking again to industry professionals from the area and learning about career opportunities in the STEM field. Mrs. Swanson and Mrs. McCausland took the World Cultures class in the JCC World History students to Washington, D.C. on a local school trip sponsored by the Cohen Trust and the Hebrew Congregation of the Chicago Institute. This is the second year, I believe, that we've done this. And when they go to Washington, they tour the African American History Museum, the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum. They participate in a walking tour, and then they get some free time going to the National History Museum, etc. They also went to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and they saw the changing of the guard. And just so you know, the Holocaust and Social Justice Education Program, our kids are extremely fortunate to benefit from this program because it is free, it is a grant. And we are so thankful to the Cohen Trust for involving our students. So they had a wonderful time, and it was based on tolerance, the entire trip. We also have our student Haley Furman, who will be this year's Empire Girls State representative. I'm very proud of Haley. And guidance would like you to know Mrs. Fitzgerald is finalizing her senior rankings and getting ready to announce the medal itself. So
communications of the superintendent.
All right, we'll do the easy things first here. Senior class request. So I met with a couple representatives from the senior class and they asked about leaving their mark. I just would like to leave a mark larger than just writing their name on the bulldog that's passed around through the year and has 35 coats of paint on it. So they're asking, they asked a couple of things that some other schools are doing. Two of them in particular, one of them is allowing them to decorate or paint their lockers. And the second request was that of parking spots out in the high school gym parking lot where they could decorate their parking location. I'm not a real fan of decorating lockers. I think that looks poorly, especially after the class is gone. It looks like graffiti. I'm not a real fan of that. The parking lot, I did ponder, but I think that's, I certainly don't need to approve something and then see the board show up for a baseball game and be like, what is going on out in the parking lot? So, you know, I wanted to talk to the board about that. You know, obviously there's concerns about paint getting spilled or running down the drain. They paint it and then it pours out. So, you know, I did talk with Bob when we planned the agenda. And, he had brought up sidewalk chalk. They could touch it up and then really pressure washed off afterwards. Obviously, the discussion of the seniors, you know, obviously I have to make sure it's appropriate. But in our discussion, as we prepped the agenda, one of the things was that I might be a little older and not realize exactly what the jargon is or these signs. So it might be like, oh, that's fine. And then I find out that it's really offensive to somebody. And I've got an issue there. But I wanted to talk with the board. Obviously, you know, there's potential that it looks like, wow, we got all kinds of graffiti around. Is that something you want to entertain? You want me to look at trying to come up with some other ideas? Those are the two that we brought forward. And so I really need to talk to the board before we go decorating and everything.
What they did and didn't like sidewalk.
And the reason I brought up sidewalk chalk is because it can be altered quickly. And sorry to say this, but sometimes you may have someone who decorates their parking spot really, really well, and then someone doesn't like them. And then they go and they mess up that person's parking spot, and then it becomes a big drama. And I would rather, as a school, we can wipe the slate clean really quickly, rather than now we have permanent paint all over the place. And if someone puts something inappropriate or says an inappropriate phrase about a person, that we're dealing with it quickly, you know, and how do we get it off as quick as possible? So, I mean, I'm a fan for the sidewalk chalk. Touch it up all you want.
And yeah. Those stickers in that, I think that's the it's not permanent. And let these kids celebrate. It's good for a lot.
Yeah, it's not up for markers. Paint.
Post-its, magnets, things that can be removed easily. Yeah. Stuart, I wasn't sure once.
I agree that if we use, like, even if they use strippers or poster board and put their name in different things, that would be something that would not be permanent. But if they want something more permanent, they're gonna have to come up with some ideas.
So that's why we did
it's not
so that people could have that permanent for the year.
for the permanence.
Could there be a place in the school where there's a wall somewhere where they would just paint their name, category on that wall?
I thought about that last night, like a 4x4 sheet of MDF board, it's painted, and then they also sign it.
Now,
Kick the hallway down near the cafeteria, maybe the hallway walls.
Put that board underneath their pictures.
Like the graduation thing.
I think the same thing.
This was something funny to me, and I'm not high school principal. The only reason I'm saying is experience would dictate several things. If you allow them to decorate their lockers, some of these kids will put so much effort into it and make a beautiful creation. And we have wonderful kids, we truly do. But on occasion, as you said, with sidewalks and things of that nature, somebody's going to be very upset if they put time and energy into a locker that somebody walks by and casually takes down. So I would say that if we did that, we would caveat that, hey, you know, it could be messed with. These are kids. And we also have middle schoolers in adults that have impulse control issues when walking in the hall. Secondly, I love the idea about painting the wall. I can give you an example that in some districts they have what are called the wall of fame, and it designate one brick wall where the bricks are decorated, each brick, and every year it's done by the students. So eventually the big wall of bricks that are used for each student that has graduated, that could be anywhere in the building if you have a spot. And it's really a kind of a neat thing to only look at as much as the pictures that are up there of former classes.
Kind of makes me think of the elementary lobby where the, yeah, I think that's.
Well, down the floor.
Turning to something I know other districts do is classes will pick a quote or a song or something that resonates with them as a class. They have a banner or something made and everybody signs it. And then that can be displayed at graduation and kept for future reunions and things like that.
Where the banner has the phrase, everyone signs it, puts their thing, and then every year you get more and more banners. Now, after a certain point, let's 15 years, maybe 20 years. You recycle one and don't bring it up. But alumni weekends. So just something so that it is permanent, but it's not permanent. Like right there. Yeah, it's not permanent. It's brought up as a special occasion. Does that help you with some ideas?
No matter what's inside, we get those.
Well, in addition, if you have something permanent on the structure, you run the risk of it disappearing. I've seen that happen as well, where people get very upset because 20 years ago I was on that wall, now there's a capital project and it's disappeared. So those are things to consider.
Sidewalk chalk and banner that you can. Good ideas for you, huh?
I like your banner and the sign. I like both the sidewalk and banner. I wouldn't mind under the pictures to be able to, but the idea of the banner is they have to work on it together. And I think that's really good.
I think if there's a whole class of them, and I'm sure if they all put their heads together, they will come up with some more ideas, present to Ms. Antonina, to bring back to you, to bring back to us, to say yes or no. It's a whole group of them.
But I think it's more, you're getting our feedback.
Correct.
Right. That's really for Mrs. Antonina to use to make those decisions. It's not our place to make an official motion on exactly what student classes. You're just getting our guidance, right? Yeah, that's our only thing here is the permanent taking right.
They watch the DLCs too. Okay. I did share with you a capital improvement project slideshow from the attorneys that Caitlin and I attended. So just walking through the process of the capital project as we plan our next large capital project. We did initially meet with the architects and engineers at our major wish list, and we definitely need to trim that back quite a bit. If everything that we wanted was in there, I think they estimated like $22 million, which is not going to happen. So we have to cut back on a lot of that, but there was things like turf field and we were hoping for some good numbers, but we got to cut it back a little bit. The disappointing thing is just to replace our roofs on all of our buildings, except the auditorium, the high school that has another roof, is just about $8 million. So $8 million of that money, you're not going to people aren't going to see. Obviously, it's very important to keep the water out of the building, but they're 30 years old, approaching 30 years, and we're going to have to protect our investment. So we have to decide as a board whether we're going to do that in two phases, two different phases of capital projects over the years, and just address the ones that we constantly had issues with, and then hope that the others will last another 5-6 years after that capital project, or we do it all at once. Those are decisions. So we'll be meeting as a budget committee, whittle down on this, or excuse me, building committee to whittle down the list a little bit as we talk further, and then also we've been meeting as a budget committee. In the package, you see 4 draft calendars. I shared all 4 of those with the board. Really, what it does is move around conference days, and also I believe the date's April 8th, which is there's going to be an eclipse next year. So there was concerns from some districts that they were going to get the day off for that purpose to make sure that people were safe. Okay, it's the day coming back from break. Then if you really look at Frewsburg is one of those schools, that's where they have an observatory, so they're concerned about traffic, and they wanted to use Frewsburg buses to transport people to this observatory in Frewsburg. So they probably will have the day off. Some other schools have done. In meeting with PTA representatives, administration, we decided that the majority of staff would rather have the day before Memorial Day to give us a longer weekend and use that vacation. So I'm proposing to do draft number 4 for tonight, and we do have a letter of.
Those are curtains. The shades.
Actually, I brought up the budget. We can buy glasses for 45 cents a piece, and I think we might do an investment for the district to give all kids and talk. You teach them about the safety of it. So the observatory will sell these glasses. We will make them order.
Number 1.
No, number 4.
It's a draft 4.
Superintendent number 1, draft 4 on the right.
Superintendent preference number 1, draft number 4.
It's a long year. So you'll see that in there. And the EPA did send me an email of support for that. So that's the calendar I'm recommending. Athletic update, we'll talk about softball first. The numbers, concern over the JV team. They did have some coaching changes at the varsity level. Numbers are there slightly. What the coaches and the athletic director decided was not to run a JV program on a large modified, on a large, in which a modified may be able to have an 18-week team like we do in basketball. But because of the numbers to help build the program, there was a request to see if we could have Mrs. Seghetti as an additional coach to help both teams and attend just as many games as they would as a JV coach, but give support to both girls teams. So asking for the board support tonight, approving a third coach for softball that will be shared between the two. And moving on to soccer, there was a survey, Mr. Gustafson, you did ask. It wasn't a survey for parents, so it was a really survey for kids that I sent out right after February break. I put that together. I had Mr. Meefogo proofread that survey. It was really about what is the interest for the fall students, and I sent it out via email to students. Now, I want you to keep in mind, I was often told that kids don't answer their emails and go to their classroom, but they don't always open it. I put it on the announcement all week long. Please, students, fill out the survey. I ran it for a full week, all the way through, and I got the data back and I started compiling with that. What it shows was I have a large interest for football. So kids that weren't even on the soccer radar, I found out that we got 14, 18 kids that are interested in playing football, which is great because Dr. Lake was asking how many kids we got. I did go down through the names. I did share with the board this complete survey, less the names. I took the names out because I think the only one that needs to know the kids' names is me, as far as determining how we split that. I can tell you that we worked down through there. I had a rather low number of soccer players complete that survey. Good or bad? You know, I was hoping for some different data. I can tell you, I look out in the audience here tonight, and I see some that filled out the survey, some that didn't. But it tells me something that you're here tonight. Is that a statement in itself? Surveys, I had 100 respondents in high school. We have 200, like 250, 150 kids. 100 respondents at boys, girls. So, you know, if we just looked at the boys' responses, I did share you another sheet. This is another download that I downloaded today, just off the Google Form. Modified girls soccer, 12 girls, varsity girls soccer 6, modified girls volleyball 15, varsity girls volleyball 15. So we don't have to worry about volleyball. I actually had some kids and girls interested in swimming. One of which only wants to swim if it's with the hammerheads. So doesn't help me much, but and in those questions I also asked, you know, do you only want to participate in say Brockton sport? Will you participate if it's with anybody? I just want to play. So we had students have the opportunity to say, I want to do this, but I only want to do it if it's here. I want to do it because I want to do it. So we had different students answer those questions. Then I had a number of responses that I'm a male, I'm a guy, through the girls survey. We didn't need to know that, but we sorted that data. We go to the boys section. And again, disappointed in the number of surveys turned out. We all know how a Google survey or an electronic survey is going. Modified boys soccer, 3 kids. JV boys, 6, and varsity boys I had 5. Football I had 8 or 10 modified boys for football, and I had 8 varsity boys. And then I wish to participate in the sport. wherever it is, 7, I only want to participate if it's Brockton, I have 10 of those. So just in looking at it, I came away with it. I really don't have any better answers other than the fact it did break it down that none of the football players, look at my sport, none of the football players, the people that signed up for football, were students that were on that original list of Mr. Pater being signed. So I'm not worried that, okay, I lost a bunch of these soccer players to football. I confirmed that just because I was like, wow, those numbers are higher than I expected for football. So I wanted to make sure we didn't have it. On the contrary, I also had 2 that were on that list that did not fill it. They didn't fill out the survey, but they actually responded with, I don't want to play a football. So, you know, in looking here tonight, I can see a number of the JV players at their JV last year. My concern is this, they are 10th graders. They played last year. To my knowledge, they cannot play JV. They'd have to go to the varsity. My concern is, what do I do with it? However many kids we put on the team, we obviously want kids to play. I want a winning team. I mean, we all want them. My concern is what I'm going to do with this large group of 10th graders, which it is, moving to the varsity. If we don't do our own program, we have tryouts, some make the team, there's still going to be a group, whether it's Brockton kids or what do we do for those students? Because that's, you know, no matter what, at the end of this, I got to leave here and go, what am I going to do for these kids to give them something to do in a community that doesn't have a rec program like Westfield does or the activities they do? So, you know, at the end of it, can I have the concerns that somebody else does? Can we sustain it? Something that's successful, it's not play. Not successful. Coach makes a huge difference. Mr. Skinner brings kids. Mr. Skinner's not here. Do I still have the kids? I got to find Mr. Skinner. I got to find that guy. So there's all these challenges, and I was here in 2010 when we started a football, and we shut her down real quick. I had a discussion with Mr. Nicole. I think most importantly, and this is part of our Brockton story, our goals, is building the authentic relationship with our students and understanding what it is they want, having a conversation about what it is that they need to be responsible young citizens, to feel comfortable at school, to work harder, to go to the extra practices, do all those things that they want to do that they can and be successful. So surveys, you might get responses. You know, I think there's a lot to say about a verbal conversation, knowing students' interest. So, you know, as superintendent, I look back, I did the survey. I wanted to leave Mr. Pater out of it because I didn't want it to be like a coercion. Everybody fill out for Mr. You know, I wanted to separate. What I did state to Mr. Nicole, you know, hindsight 2020, I should have just Monday and Tuesday sat my butt when I came back from break in the cafeteria with the form. Here it is. Sign up for fall sports. Either sign up or not play. And taking the paper sheets back, and at least they had their chance. I sat at the table and fill it out. Here it is. It's in your face. If you can't do it during lunch, I don't want to hear about it. Even with adults, when we do surveys, online trainings, things like that, we need to track it down. We need to chase it. Don't always get the responses you want. So I didn't get the data I wanted from a Google piece. We're in crunch time for getting this stuff into the section, making plans. Just in compiling the data, you know, I shared it with you. In the motion, you'll see that I brought it to motion back to the table as superintendent because we tabled it last time, so therefore I put it on here as a motion for a decision to be made, or tabled, or what's gonna happen to it, but I brought it back forward because it needs to be back to the table. Okay. And tomorrow, on a positive note, we have a symposium here, our 4th annual symposium. There'll be over 200 people and vendors. Cafeteria will be packed. Service providers from throughout 3 different counties and Pennsylvania coming here to talk about services for not only students but adults, social services, day programs, you name it, they'll be here. There's guest speakers here tomorrow. We're going to have some political figures stopping in throughout the day. You're welcome as community members to come attend. There's services that you might not even know are available, especially for elderly care. What I find most interesting is just knowing what's available for those folks and the resources that you have that you can call. So that will go on here tomorrow with parent-teacher conferences going on. We'll have 2 food trucks here, and this will be the unveiling of the brand new Chicago Health Network mobile crisis health unit that they'll be having in the parking lot for the unveiling of that new, more of a brand new mobile home with offices and doctor care in that unit that will be traveling the county. So that's the unveiling of that tomorrow. So we're very proud of that.
About this arch over here.
The arch was designed by Mark Furman and Joe Dunn. They built that for our display for tomorrow with all these folks coming in. And, that'll be down in the cafeteria where we'll be having continental breakfast for everybody that attends and our faculty. So they made that as a display, and pretty neat artwork that they're able to put together. And Ashley is the sign decorator for that. But pretty awesome work in a short amount of time that those folks put together. Just to add a little blank.
Your official title, now you're the sign decorator. You were promoted. Yeah. Congratulations.
She's the master of many things.
Oh,
Perhaps wow.
So.
Is that everything? Okay. Communications to the business executive.
So at each of your spots, there was a 1-page front and back 4-tapered sheet for budget information. We have had 3 budget committee meetings so far, and the most recent one being today. So this is information that's up to date through today. Right now, we're looking at after discussions with the budget committee, having a property tax increase of 2%, which equates to a little bit over $97,000. According to the property tax cap calculation, the way all of the formulas work with that, we would be able to increase our property taxes up to 5.52%, but the budget committee felt more comfortable staying at the 2% increase. We're looking at an overall state aid increase based on the governor's runs of a little bit over $800,000. That doesn't include $100,000 that is set aside for high impact tutoring. The definition that they're giving to the high impact tutoring is for students in grades 3 through 8 who are identified as high risk or not meeting some of the state standards. It's specific to ELA and math, and there are some regulations as far as the amount of tutoring that those students would need to receive every week. But $100,000 of that state aid increase would need to go specifically to that high impact tutoring. We're also looking at a BOCES aid increase of about a little bit over $40,000. Great Air total revenue increase based on that larger increase from the governor's runs for state aids to about $868,000 or 5% increase over the current school year. As far as expenditures, we're looking at salary increases of $228,000 or 3.57%. That doesn't take into account a few of the retirements that are listed later on the agenda, as well as looking at supporting a little bit more in the early learning with our young pre-K students. If we don't have enough students who are enrolled to cover 2 classes grant, still holding 2 pre-K classrooms and providing some more supports to those K and 1 teachers for their students. We are looking at a benefit increase of $165,000 at 3.88%, which is actually lower overall than what the health insurance projection is for next year, which is 7%. We have a slight increase to that. Our larger equipment purchases that we're looking at making next year are 166 passenger bus as well as 130 passenger bus with wheelchair ramp, as well as along with small equipment purchases that we make throughout the building. We're looking at a mostly services decrease of a little bit over $16,000, bringing our total expenditure increase of $447,000 or 2.47%. So to bridge that gap between our expenditure increase and our revenue increase, we would be using a little bit of our appropriated fund balance of $305,000. That is based on current information. We will have legislative funds and a finalized state budget normally comes in before we have to pass our budget. So there could be some changes to that, in which time we'll do another budget committee before bringing a finalized budget to the board.
Communication with the Director of Special Education. No, communication with the district clerk.
So in your business, you'll find the annual meeting and election legal notice, which was the names of the 4 times and to budget code and asking for your business approval. Also, I created a 23-24 budget vote slideshow that I'll be posting on the website for the communities to view, so they have like the basic information on that. The budget vote and election will take place in the high school gymnasium. It will be the same location since 2021. Prospective school board member packets are available in the district starting tomorrow through Monday, April 17th. And a special board meeting will need to take place on Wednesday, April 19th for the BOCES component vote. So we need to decide if we're going to do it in the morning before everyone goes to work, or if we're going to do it.
Typically in the past, 4 board members have said they can come here at 8 o'clock in the morning, so we can open the meeting, have a quick vote on whether or not we're going to approve the BOCES budget and order the election of their board members. Before we can meet at that time.
Director of Special Education Curriculum.
Thank you. As I've mentioned before, since the pandemic, a big portion of the curriculum side of my job responsibilities has been around the Brockton story and really developing shifts in the way our system operates instructionally and responsibly based on student needs. And tonight, my updates are going to be shared by both of our instructional coaches. We have Jody Huber, who is a teacher on special assignment, working with our elementary staff. And we have Rachel Offenbach-Smith, who is a teacher on special assignment, working with our middle school and high school staff. They put together a comprehensive data review for you that looks at both of our state data and also the trends that we're seeing within our universal screening and progress monitoring of students' foundational skills. So ladies, I'll turn it over to both of you.
Do a little creative finagling with the Zoom here. I think I do this, and you can still do it. Should be able to bring that up and put it into present mode.
You need to move him up. You could hold on to him and move him up.
I think we should be okay.
Okay.
So we don't want to take up too much of your time because, as you can see, God is quickly running out of caffeine. So all these wonderful gentlemen probably don't want to spend the rest of their evening hearing about that. But we did want to reiterate that there has been a shift this year. We are continuing the great work that Jody has started in the elementary. Looking at data in the middle school and high school. We really are focused on the middle school mostly this year because if we're going to make such a big shift, we really just chose one that we discussed. So part 1 of what we're doing this year is using the data, not just to try and find answers, but to ask the right questions. Our teachers feel a lot of pressure when they're looking at the data, but we're trying to teach them
how to use data to evaluate where the students are and what they need. So going forward, our data points are continuing to drive our instructional decisions. We have to teach the children that are in front of us at that time. And we're being really reflective about the data using all sorts of things from our 3 times a year benchmark testing, progress monitoring, and more formative classroom assessments to inform our instructional decisions. Looking at areas where we might need to pivot our instruction based on where the students are not going to maybe meet the goals on the state assessments. And we are committed to a continuous cycle of instructional improvement. So what we're doing is we're using the state test data, but we're realizing that we have to go through the whole process of analyzing the results to plan an action, then implement the plan of that action, and then reflect on it this school year. So that's just a little background on why we're doing what we're doing. And so we're going to just take a real quick look at the ELA data. Like Ms. Wallinger said, we're just looking at the trends overall. So what you can see right here is some trends from all the way back from 2015 to the most recent 2022. In the red, you see the students who were scoring at level 1, and there is a slight uptick between 2018 and 2019, but that was the year that we transitioned from paper-based testing to computer-based testing, and the students were adjusting to that. We are light years ahead of the computer-based testing process, by the way, when we were having webinars with other districts about the fact that this is coming for every district next year. They had all sorts of questions. We are ready to go. Our kids are ready to take these tests on computers. They know what they're doing. Our tech people are ready. So if you can see though, even going from 2019 to 2022, that red line continues its trend downward. The green is the students who are achieving proficient levels at level 3 and 4. And they did take a little bit of a dip there in that 2018 to 2019. But the great thing is that we're managing to maintain that forward momentum, even with the pandemic in there, and we're closing those skill gaps that were created by the pandemic.
As Melanie mentioned before, one of the things we do is universal screening of students. This is all students, kindergarten through 8th grade. Some of them are only 2nd through 8th grade. So this first piece of data that we're looking at is EasyCBM, which assesses reading comprehension and vocabulary. This is not the test that they have for kindergarten and 1st grade. This is why we need it in 2nd grade. So we are in year 2 with this. And so our fall data we're pretty pleased with the fall data when they came back after summer. Sometimes you see some summer regression. And so the students who would fall into that red would be considered most at risk, highest need of intervention. These are some of the students that we are targeting with additional services from our AIS teachers. And of course, this data allows us to look at what exactly are they struggling with. And what we can do when we have our monthly and benchmark data meetings to move these students forward and close those gaps. And then you can see the winter. This is the comparison of winter to fall and the amount of growth that has happened. 2 through 8 is nearly at 80% proficiency as a whole group, which is, a big goal of us is to hit that 80%. In addition to that data, which this is 3 times a year, fall, winter, and spring, we also give the STAR data. Now this one is on the computer. EasyCBM has the option computer or pencil paper. Usually some of our younger students are doing pencil paper at this point. This is completely on the computer, and we've been using this probably as long as I've been here. So this is showing our proficiency rate, which has increased by 7.6% points since last winter in the course of the year. And then another thing it shows us is the student's growth percentile. So this is in comparison to norms across the nation. Where do our students fall in growth? 50% is right in the middle. This goes from a 1 to 99 percentile. So 50% is in the middle. We have set our district goal to be above 50% at 65. And as of this fall, we are looking at a 7.9%, 71.9% growth.
So
Okay, so now then, in addition to all of that, that is done through the middle school, K-5, we have identified that oral reading fluency is a crucial component to students' achievement and proficiency. They have to be able to read in order to comprehend what they are reading. So we have 3 times a year, we progress monitor our kindergarten and first grade on some foundational skills, such as language awareness, decoding nonsense words, and then the end of first grade, up through 5th grade, we're looking at oral reading fluency and retell. So if you're taking a look at our fall to winter data, you can see the amount of growth that has happened. This data, we are not only tracking 3 times a year, this data we are looking at monthly. So every month we meet, we go over the data, the students are being progress monitored depending on their level of needs. Some are being progress monitored weekly, some are every other week. We use that information to make decisions on things that we need to try in the classroom or things that we need to be done with the assistance of an academic specialist.
So those are just kind of the high level views of what we have going on with our ELA. Based on all of the information so far, we've identified that our students are making strides in certain areas, particularly oral reading fluency and making strides in reading comprehension. They generally also score really well on the multiple choice section of the state exam, but we do realize that sometimes the construction of the section is difficult for them. So what we're working on is aiming for improvement in vocabulary acquisition and making connections between texts, reading comprehension. And then we've been implementing a lot of sentence-based writing strategies to get at the core of writing more complex sentences, the type of writing that we're going to need to be able to do, using the strategies based in the science of reading and the writing repetition. So now we're going to kind of talk just for a second about the math data, because that's ELA and math are our 2 focus areas. So the decrease that we're seeing in so the decrease that we are seeing, I think it's in there. The decrease in proficiency that we have seen on the state test data for math is not just a Brockton thing. The statewide overall percentage between 2019 and the last time this was counted and now is about 12% statewide. So this is something that we're hearing from when our staff members go to forums and just from looking at the statewide testing data that the pandemic related learning loss between 2019 and 2022 was particularly difficult for math. Particularly in grades 3 through up. K2, they were seeing more of the gaps in literacy. 3 through 12, it was more math. All right, so in math, we do some very similar things as we do in reading. We do our universal screening or benchmarking. We do that 3 times a year. Again, this is easy CBM. This is checking all domains. And you can see where our growth has happened. Again, we're looking at lower levels of those 1 or 2 students who needed some level of intervention and an increase in our students who are proficient and considered at benchmark. And then our winter data is showing an increase since 2021-2022 school year by 3.6 percentage points. So we're at 56% for proficiency in grades 2 through 8. And our growth percentile, we're not quite at the 65% that we set as a district goal. However, the norm for START is 50. We have increased that district goal to, push everybody through it and, really make sure that our students are showing as much growth as possible. But this is still also up from previous school year. So similar to the way we identified focus skills and what we're looking at with ELA, we've identified specific focus skills that we'll be working on with math based on your specific state test data. Things like fractions, algebraic equations, and 2D and 3D geometric shapes are what we've identified as some focus skills that across the math curriculum we will need to be working on.
In addition to that, I know in our discussions and meetings that we meet with teachers monthly, we've already had some curriculum changes to ensure that we are spiraling in fractions more. the number sets, especially place value with some of our younger students. So those things will be more spiraled in, and we've been readjusting our curriculum maps to ensure that everything is covered, and it's covered deeply, and it's come back to ensure long-term learning.
So if you bring it back, just some instructional support initiatives that we're doing, just to bring it back to the Brockton story too. All of these things, what can be more individual and student-centered than looking at the data that these students have and designing the program about what they need. So these are specific supports that we've been implementing throughout the school year to make that happen for our students. Focusing on specifically incorporating the science of reading, integrating literacy interventions, all of this other list that I don't need to read for you because it is already in front of you. But if you have any questions about any of them, please feel free to ask us at any time, as well as other just general coaching supports, which we like to let people know about because coaching is still a kind of a new thing around the county with these instructional coaches popping up. So these are just some of the things that we've been working on this year throughout the year, in addition to all of the data work we've been doing. And then Jody wants to talk about some STEM.
Just one thing about coaching supports. We are now on the tail end of the next generation building math and science standards. This is full implementation year. This is the first year that we're going to be assessed on these standards. So we're just coming off of that. But now we're preparing for the 2024 brand new computer science and digital fluency standards, which are going to really be integrated across the board, and it is something that is new. These are the brand new standards. They're not just modified standards that we've already had. And also, they're based on new science standards. Next year, the 5th and 8th grade will be taking a brand new science test that includes embedded within the school year lab assessments. It used to be part of the test, performance-based in June. Now we need to ensure that teachers are ready to be ensuring that those labs are being run at certain grade levels.
Which Jody did a wonderful job creating a website with like a one-stop PD shop that we've been adding and curating resources to. Where if any of you are interested, we created a presentation for the teachers on these new standards, including curriculum documents and everything that they would need to make sure that this happens.
And my job is one part instructional coach, but I'm also staff coordinator. So this is just news for this school year. So some things that we've added on this school year. We have made it in the elementary building a priority to celebrate Computer Science Week. We actually turned most of December into it. And instead of it just being standalone within Mrs. Zappi's room, she's a fantastic job putting in there. We're also doing applicable coding. We're actually putting robots, drones. There's the Lego robotics, and we're bringing some of the things that we've done on a higher level with Mr. Koval's robotics class. We're bringing it down into a lower level that's appropriate for our youngest learners, but also integrates into what they're already doing. As opposed to being something extra, it ties into something we're already doing. And it also models to teachers how we can integrate these computer science students down the road. Makey-Makeys are new this year. They are, you can see the young man up in the corner with the guitar. He actually coded a guitar program that gets connected to this conductive guitar, all run through the Makey-Makeys. We've had the 8th graders do that as part of their computer science and technology. Lego robotics, they've done this in some of the robotics classes up at the high school, but we're now brought it down to the elementary, 3rd and 4th grade. Hummingbird robotics, this was a high school pilot this year. It's more of a maker type robotics kit where the kids actually create things and then they use all of the parts to make them move and they have to code it. The kettle blocks, these are really good for our younger students. You'll see the little one kindergartners down in the left corner. These are building pre-engineering concepts, and it has a complete guide for the teachers to integrate into the classroom. So this is a new addition to our STEM lab this year. Minecraft EU, last year I started a Minecraft club. Very successful. We had 60 students sign up this year, so I actually had to hold most of the sessions. But now we're bringing that into the classroom. The students all have accounts when they're set up. So the 4th grade actually piloted a social emotional learning unit that integrated reading, writing within Minecraft. And they had to solve the challenges, but they also had to read and write. in their responses, and then they created a flip video explaining the whole process of what they did. STEM Club, that's a brand new club we started this year. For several years, our high school students have attended STEM boards, which they discussed. In 2020, just before the pandemic, Southwestern had a very small one that just had area schools there. This year they brought it back, they opened it up to the entire county, so I am taking a group of 20 third through fifth graders who are part of the STEM boards, and we're going to do some competitions that are very similar to what the high school kids are doing, just on the lower level for them. Then we have the Oculus VR pilot. This just came in on Friday. So this will be something that probably after next week, teachers will have an opportunity to check out and work with us on how to integrate them. And then talk about service, and then of course esports. This is huge and up and coming all over. We plan to start a spring league and participate in the LOSU's tournament. And then for the future, there's always a fall league and spring league through, you hold it and you scrim with other schools, but then LOSU's always has tournaments that you compete in. This year, as part of being the LOSU's program, we were given an attendance switch because some of the tournament games that students can participate in will actually be intended to use like Super Smash Brothers.
That's it.
So great job. I want to thank the board over the last few years. We've said this before, but we started the elementary coaches and staff coordinators before COVID. And I don't think we would have made it through COVID without being able to coach and support our teachers during that tough time of really pushing out lessons, and everybody became a Zoom specialist during that time. So we really appreciate that. But we had been lacking in middle high school, really analyzing the data. And instead of saying, you know what, the scores are terrible, get them up. The scores got to go up, or we're going to get on the naughty list with state ed, and they're going to be in here telling us what to do. These two women have done an outstanding job looking at what it is we really need to do, as opposed to revamping the whole kit and caboodle. And vocabulary, fractions, things of that nature. We're taking small bites of that. What the district truly needs, and they're helping teachers without an administrator coming in and going, listen, you're not teaching fractions. You're looking at it from the concept of really what do we need to improve. So I really appreciate the work and the positive atmosphere that you create for staff to come in and work with you. So great job.
Communications with the elementary school principal.
I asked her to. You do?
Yeah. There were some notes I know she wanted to share. One was that parent-teacher conferences are happening this evening and tomorrow morning with childcare provided by the teachers' aides. Thank you very much, the teachers' aides. There is a plan for 2 pre-K classrooms this fall. We're currently doing the pre-K screening and our kindergarten screening. And we had a hat pajama day held for second grade students. And last but not least is April 19th, I believe, starts the ELA state assessments.
Actually starts in March. We have them in March and in April.
So the first one will start in March, the second one? Okay.
ELA will be first with math, and then science for 8th grade in June.
Thank you. Did I miss anything? Board committees, and there was a budget team we met tonight, talked about it. I was very happy to see that it was at 2%, not 5% that we could go up to, but at 2%. We don't need to be going up as high as the state or anyone else thinks we can. Try to keep down the community as best we can. Anything else? New business. Oh.
I just want to say that you're going to see a number of retirements and motions here tonight, actually more than we had anticipated. But we are going to lose 6 educational professionals this year for a total of 179 years of service to the district. So congratulations to them. Thank them for their service for 179 years of service across 6 people. These folks have been really the backbone of the school. Most of them 30 years. So it's hard to watch that many go out the door this year. But some of them did, but I think it says a lot about there's life after you retire and spending time with your family. And I think just in watching some of your colleagues work through some things, there's more to life than working for your last day. So kudos to these people, but it was sad about you.
Okay, going to new business. Resolve that the Board of Education, on the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the senior class trip to New York City, New York, from June 5th, 2023 through June 7th, 2023. So moved. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Yeah. The legal, yeah, it's the legal reading of the annual meeting. No? Please don't. Did someone say please don't? It is actually what I can say is it is in board docs, the notice and also the information if someone wants to run for a board position, when we vote for the budget, and all those different things. So what I could say is that I move that we have read the Brockton Central School District, Chautauqua County, New York, notice of annual meeting and elections as listed. So moved. Second. Any discussion? I was willing. Still always. I will put at the end for discussion though that this we will be printing this notice because we do have to print it March 31st, April 14th, April 28th, and May 12th to make sure that we've done our due diligence. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Instructional. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the 2023-2024 school year calendar as presented, which was Supervisor's Preference 1, Draft 4. So moved. Second. Any discussion? That's a long year. Good. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Jason, I do have one question. If we start with the boys JV soccer, does that then mean we've automatically gone to talk about varsity soccer or no?
I listed them separate just because we would be hosting one.
Either way.
Yeah, they're pretty much, if we're going to approve one, approve the other, the most opportunity for the most kids.
Resolve that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve entering into the interscholastic athletics sharing agreement for the combined fall athletic program of boys JV soccer with the Westfield Academy and Central School District and the Brockton Central School District being the host school for the 2023-2024 school year as per General Municipal Law 119, and hereby authorize the superintendent to sign such agreement. So moved. Okay, any discussion?
I would like to clarify that there are instances where 11th grade students are allowed to play on the JV team. That should be clear.
Okay. Does anyone else have any discussion or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve entering into an interscholastic athletic sharing agreement for the combined fall athletic program of boys modified soccer, boys varsity soccer, girls modified soccer, girls varsity soccer with the Westfield Academy and the Central School Westfield Academy and Central School, excuse me, as the host school in the Brockton Central School District for the 2023-2024 school year as per General Municipal Law 119, and hereby authorize the superintendent to sign such agreement. So move. Okay. Any discussion? Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Next one is the policies. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, consider this the first and final reading of the following proposed policies to retire as listed. So moved. Second. Any discussion? Please realize that with policy 8122, it's merged with policy 8210, which is why it's being retired. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, consider this the first and final reading of the following policies. Policy 7618, use of the timeout. So, second. Any discussion? With this also then our form, the 7618 form, would be updated to reflect those new recommendations. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, consider this the first reading of the following policies as listed. So moved. Second. Any discussion? With this, then, the following regulations have been updated to reflect such policies. That would be 8280R and 8450R. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, consider this the third and final reading of the following policies as listed. So moved. Second. Any discussion? The following regulations also have to be updated to reflect the policy recommendations, and that would be 8360R. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the attached voluntary recognition agreement with the Brockton Support. We didn't vote. I apologize. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried. Takes the board in the village. Resolved that the Board of Education, on the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the attached voluntary recognition agreement with the Brockton Support Association, the Brockton Teachers Association, the Brockton Secretarial Association, CSEA Local 807, the Food Service Helpers Association Incorporated, and Teamsters Local 264, and authorize and direct the superintendent to execute the agreement. The memorandum of agreement pertains to the affiliation of the school monitor position as part of the Brockton Support Association. So moved. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the attached memorandum of agreement with the Brockton Support Association and authorize and direct the superintendent to execute the agreement. So moved. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Okay. Resolved that the Board of Education, on the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the attached voluntary recognition agreement with the Brockton Support Association, Brockton Teachers Association, the Brockton Secretarial Association, CSEA Local 807, the Food Service Helpers Association Incorporated, the Teamsters Local 264, and authorize and direct the superintendent to execute the agreement. This memorandum of agreement pertains to the affiliation of the Certified Occupational Therapist Assistant position as part of the Brockton Teachers Association. So, second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the probationary appointment Courtney Ball to the 1.0 FTE position of certified occupational therapist assistant effective retroactive January 3rd, 2023, with wages and benefits as outlined in the memorandum of agreement with the Brockton Teachers Association, and authorize the superintendent to execute and sign such agreement.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried. We're now into the retirements. Resolve that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, accept the resignation of Trudy Anderson, elementary AIS teacher, effective July 1st, 2023, for retirement purposes.
So moved. Second.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Mrs. Anderson has worked for Brockton Central School District for 27 years.
Thank you for her service.
Yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. Resolve that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, accept the resignation of Andrew Deacon, middle high school science teacher, effective July 1st, 2023, for the retirement purposes.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Deacon has worked at the Brockton Central School District for 30 years and has coached volleyball for 32 years. Thank you for the service. Absolutely. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, accept the resignation of Lisa Liberator, second grade teacher, effective July 1st, 2023, for retirement purposes.
So moved. Second.
Mrs. Liberator has worked at Brockton Central School District for 33 years. Thank you for the service. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, accept the resignation of Laura Naracco, school social worker, effective July 1st, 2023, for retirement purposes.
So moved. Second.
Mrs. Naracco has worked at Brockton for 23 years. Thank her for her service. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, accept the resignation of Julie Young, middle school teacher, effective July 1st, 2023, for retirement purposes.
So moved. Second.
Mrs. Young has worked at Brockton for 28 years. That's where the 100 and how many years?
179 if we had in pizza.
That's a lot. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried.
Mr. Duncan, what are these one people? I'm sorry. I didn't catch that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
internally,
Say as soon as possible.
and internally, you know, we get a posting out hopefully next week for most of the internals, and then see how that plays out, especially at the elementary level, and then we're working towards posting the others. Still some concern at the high school level, and if we can do it without backfilling the pandemic hires. So we need to look at the schedule on that, but obviously we're going to need some science teachers because we're losing 2 science teachers.
Resolve the Board of Education, on the recommendation of the superintendent, approve unpaid leave of absence for Nick Williams from February 27th, 2023, February 28th, 2023, March 2nd, 2023, March 3rd, 2023, and March 7th, 2023. So that's not from, but it's on each of those dates. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve unpaid leave of absence for Ken Kowal, technology teacher, from March 2nd, 2023 through March 31st, 2023. I would need so moved. So I would need a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, appoint Jared Trinkle to the position of long-term substitute technology teacher at step 1, the 2021-2025 Brockton Teachers Association collective bargaining unit with no benefits. The position has commenced on March 6th and will end on April 14th, 2023. Any discussion with this, Mr. Trinkle? This came up because Mr. Trinkle will be covering Mr. Cole's medical leave of absence. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, appoint Joshua Youngke, thank you. I appreciate everyone, thank you. To the position of long-term substitute of alternate program at step 1 of the 2021-2025 Brockton Teachers Association collective bargaining unit with no benefits. The position has commenced on February 27th, 2023 and ends on June 23rd, 2023. So, second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Resolved that the Board of Education, on the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the substitutes as listed for the 2022-2023 school year. So moved. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the appointment of Joseph Dunn, Grayson Delcamp, and Aiden Gatto as the shot clock operator scorekeeper for the basketball at minimum wage for the 2022-2023 season. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, appoint Anna Marie Hamlin as intramural swim advisor for the spring 2023 year as per the 2021-2025 BTA contract. So moved. Second. Any discussion? I'm always happy to see the pool being used. We have a beautiful timer system, and I'd love to see us use it. That's great. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, appoint Jody Huber as eSports club advisor for the 2022-2023 year per the 2021-2025 BTA contract. So, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, appoint Catherine Fitzgerald to the position of girls modified softball coach for the 2022-2023 school year at index 6.1, step 5, as set in the 2021-2025 BTA contract appendix F. So moved. Second. Any discussion?
You did ask for that.
Yeah, I was just curious. Like, is there, if there's that many, there's a definite need to appoint an assistant for both?
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried. Appointment of the resolve that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, appoint Maria Seghetti to the position of girls modified and varsity softball assistant coach for the 2022-2023 school year at index 6.9, step 7, as set in the 2021-2025 BTA contract appendix F. So moved. Second. Any discussion? There are large softball numbers, but not enough for 3 levels. Her role would be to assist both the coaches on the modified and the varsity level. so that everyone has the records that just traveled, et cetera. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, appoint Matt Garrido to the position of boys modified baseball coach for the 2022-2023 school year of index 5.3, which is step 3, as set in the 2021-2025 ETA contract appendix F. So moved. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. Resolved that the Board of Education, on the recommendation of the superintendent, appoints Seth McFadden and Ronald Brown to the volunteer unpaid position of the boys varsity baseball assistant coaches for the 2022-2023 school year. So moved. Second. Any discussion? Do volunteers have to go through training as well? Okay. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve Melissa Bartok as an elementary volunteer for the 2022-2023 school year. So moved. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the CSE, CPSE, and 504 recommendations as presented. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried. Back to public comments. Name is again, name, address.
Another one of the I'm just glad that the decision was made for one. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. I am very disappointed in this board for allowing one of your board members to strong arm this decision. At the last meeting, you guys handed out a piece of paper that was going to propose them bringing it back to Brockton. And Mr. Huber saw that, stomped out of the room, caused a scene, came back and slammed in his chair, threw something on the table, and he intimidated every one of you to make a bad decision. It was ridiculous, and the fact that he can't even control himself in this setting, and now I'm supposed to let my kid play on this team. There were 8 parents here that wanted this to come back here, and 1 parent here that didn't. I'm disappointed. You guys got strong armed. You let these people intimidate you because you're all really nice people, and you let them intimidate you and push you into a corner and make a terrible decision. This is ridiculous. The fact that we are not taking care of the majority of kids, and all these kids are, what about all these other kids that are just going to have nothing? Well, we'll come up with something. No, that's bullshit. We had something. We had something. We had a good program here ready to go. All these parents were excited to see their kids play here again next year. But instead, we have an ethical situation here. Ethics obviously don't mean anything to this board if we're going to be allowed to have someone that's coaching, influencing the board's decision. Ethics matter. They're supposed to matter. And I'm absolutely disgusted with this board. It's not too late to make a good decision. You are screwing a lot of innocent kids that need somebody in their lives. And you're going to put them with him? I wouldn't even let my kid come and sit in the same room as him. He treated my son like garbage.
You have to focus on us.
Okay, I apologize, but he treated my son like garbage. And you know what? My youngest son doesn't even want to play it. I've dedicated my whole life to this sport, and you guys just took it away from my son. You guys just did that and gave it to him. My son doesn't want to play it.
You need to stop focusing
on us. I've had enough. You guys know where I'm at. I'm disgusted with you. I'm disappointed in the fact that you guys let somebody strong arm you into this decision. You're better than that. And you're screwing a lot of these poor kids in this freaking town that don't have any money. You're not even thinking about that. This is bullshit.
Any other public comments? Yes.
Austin McIntyre, Highland Avenue. I was wondering about concerns with the prom bus.
Hey. Okay, so the way this works is normally you don't ask us questions, but you brought up something that we can then discuss later. So can you just give me a little bit more information about prom busing? I'm not
so many kids were upset with prom busing, because I guess there was something that kids had to be bused to prom. And I guess a lot of kids aren't happy with that because they want to drive themselves. I don't know.
What I would recommend is, when's prom about?
May 13th.
So we got some time.
We're going into executive to discuss a couple of legal things, and that was one of the things I want to talk about. That's one of the two things that I want to talk about, executive that are legal pieces. So we will be getting answers for you.
Okay. One of the reasons I asked about this is because I deal with this actually legally on college campuses, and whether we can have students drive themselves to certain events or not. Okay. So that's why I was wondering about it. But if we're going to bring it up first in the executive session, please come back to a meeting or read the minutes.
Okay. All right.
Please.
Thank you.
Yep. Any others?
His dad.
Yes. His dad. Wait a minute, what's your address then?
Do I have to stand?
Yes.
I live here, right there. Same thing. If at least give the parents an option to drive your kids instead of riding the bus. If we want to take them somewhere afterwards. If you're worried about kids drinking and driving, I can certainly assist in that area. If anyone's open to that. And lawyer, I would bring an alert test pre-screen to where any kid that drives themselves blow in the box, and if you're on zeros, you're free to go. If you're not, you can't leave.
And I think we do that currently at prom too, where when they go in, they're going to have to whether they take the bus.
Yeah, but for a different reason, you do it now. If driving is a concern, kids drinking and driving. I can certainly aid in that, or at least set it up to aid in that. I'm not even sure where's the venue supposed to be.
Celeron.
So
let us talk about it. Oh, keep going. I'm sorry, I don't want to.
I would just ask you don't limit the kids to a bus ride. Just if you have to make it so they don't drive themselves, give the parents an option, or let me take one of the short buses.
We did give that option. We did give the option.
Okay.
I gave the option for the parents.
Sure. No, I think as long as the board, are you okay that we're kind of dialoguing with this? Yeah. I just want to make sure because I don't want anyone to yell at me. Like
we could have a way for parents to sign off liability.
The caution about sign off liability is once you say we're going to sign off liability, that means there is a risk in liability in it. So therefore, you always have to be careful. I get you.
I think that's
what you think.
My initial response to the advisors was that because it was moved to Celeron, I was concerned about the driving, but I did get the option. And it wasn't clear in my first email to them, to their defense. In my second email, I said it was perfectly fine if the parents drove the students there. We also had a concern at the time that some of the students would be attending after prom. So therefore, having the bus go there and take the bus from there to the after prom. There wasn't a lot of interest in after prom, so that's no longer on the table. So now it's a straight shot from the Brockton area to the Celeron Hotel. We have not tested for sobriety since COVID for obvious reasons.
I don't worry about that. Okay. So, I mean, if the prom was at Brockton, nobody's making us ride a bus. There's no difference whether you're driving a mile or 30 miles. So I would say if there's you sign a waiver for liability for a lot of things, I don't really see this one being any different, but at least leave it up to the parents.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention, both of you. Thank you. Any other public comments?
Austin McIntyre, Highland Avenue. About the soccer thing, I mean, I don't really have a side, but I think that there are positives and negatives to both sides. I mean, there's a competition aspect. Obviously, it gives Brockton kids more incentive to play harder, and but I understand because a lot of kids, soccer's all they play, and they don't think they can make it on the Westfield team, and I understand their concerns. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have a stance on it. I mean, it's obviously your guys' decision, but
So thanks for being here. Anything else? Okay. Board reports. Just so that everyone knows, the enrollment report is on here because I know it's been requested before. The Erie 2 board report is there, the call for nominations. When I talk about those letters, I'm going to try to get that out soon. And what I'm going to be asking them is, what is their stance on providing the services that we are expecting and asked to give numbers to? Specifically, what I'm talking about is we've talked about in the past. You know, they say, do we need 4 people going for a special service program? And we pay for it, and then they say, oh, we don't have these slots. I want to know what their stance is from my standpoint, but I want to know from that is what you guys want to do, right? Yes. Okay. Making sure. Communications of the PTA representative.
Hi. Hi. Okay, so I was not here in February, so I was unable to provide you with this information then, but I told you I would get back to you after compiling all of that survey data from our January in-service, and I have some nice results to share with you.
Could I ask, make sure that you send this to Ashley, because she'll
Yes.
send it in board docs.
I'm sorry, Ashley, yes.
No, it's not a problem, just so that in the future we have it.
Sure. Okay, so very basically, I put together a survey that asked people their thoughts on the day, what classes they liked. So as you can see from the results, the class that people really enjoyed was the Brockton History Field Trip with Carrie McCausland. It was very well attended, and people were talking about it very enthusiastically on their return. Next from there was yoga with Amory Hamlet, tied with line dancing with Adam Glazier. I saw people in the cafeteria dancing, and it was neat to see, because it's certainly not my thing per se, but it was really cool to see everybody else participating. I know you find that hard to believe that I'm never mind dancer. After that was painting with the man subject, and then house plants with Amy Joy and Lori Skinner. So then I gave people an opportunity, if you had a hard time choosing just one favorite, what was your next favorite? And again, Anne-Marie, yoga with Anne-Marie Hamlet came up, house plants with Amy Joint, Lori Skinner tied with board games, and then line dancing with Alan Glazier, tied with open swimming. I'm not going to read all of these items to you from the next set of questions, but I want you to know that I did ask fair questions. What did you like most about the day? What were things you'd like to see changed? And then overall, did you find that the day was valuable? Why or why not? So some things that I highlighted. For the things you'd like to see change, just as you're reading, I want to be able to explain some items to you. I think it would be nice to have a group event outside of school. That's certainly something we can consider. Some people asked for the sessions to run a little longer. We certainly can do that as well. There was an ask for a competitive game, which I thought was a really great idea. Like after lunch, we could maybe do teams of tug of war for like a sport. Tournament style down to the end. The one that I really want to direct your attention to is on the back of that page, the second page, that says something you'd like to see change for the Wellness and Service Day. And there's a really lengthy response, and it says where employees who volunteer their time to provide us with their expertise, able to participate in any activities outside of what they were teaching. I contacted this person directly, and the answer to that was yes. So as I did a survey prior to the day beginning to see who would be interested in providing services to us for the day. And then as people responded back to me, I asked them if they were willing to teach for the full day, if they wanted to teach for a half day, and if they said a half day, I gave them the option of AM or PM, because it is their in-service day as well. So I gave everybody the option, and so to the person who wrote this question, I did respond all of that information so that they would have a clear picture. I thought it was very nice that they were looking out for their colleagues in that way, but I did want you to know that that was the case when you're reading through these responses. A few people asked for a brief description of what each session offers. That's a very fair thing to ask for, and certainly something we can look to for the future. A lot of people also asked for more than one day of an in-service like this. They said something at the beginning of the year, something at the end of the year, something so that we could do something outside. And then moving on, the last thing I want to direct your attention to, I received 59 responses in total to the survey, which I thought was a really good, what's it called? Smattering, that's not the right word, sample size. And it said, overall, do you feel that the day is valuable? Why or why not? And if you go through each of the responses, every single one says, yes, it was a valuable day. There was not one negative comment. So in that vein, I'd like to thank Nick Williams, Rachel Offenbach-Smith, Jody Huber for sitting on the committee to help plan this day. It was very, very well attended, and things went smoothly. Thank you to the district, to Melanie for her assistance in helping the plan, and it was a really great day. And then finally, I have one more thing that I didn't include. I said it was in the red list, I remembered. We met with all three, Nick and I met with all three administrators in the last day and a half. Had some really great open conversations. Again, things seem to still be running smoothly. Communications are open. We hear from people, from the lady bosses right away if something is awry. As you know, Jason, Nick, and I meet every Monday, and things have been very manageable, and I feel that communication is definitely good. Very, very good.
It's good to hear.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks.
Okay.
Ashley, I will give you your digital copy tomorrow.
I just know how to that she puts it in.
Thank you.
We will be going to the executive session. So resolve that the Board of Education, on the recommendation of the superintendent, enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing proposed pending or current litigation at 8:58 p.m. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? And there is no action. There will be no action taken after this.
Then we go.
You guys.
When you're done.
Let's
go.
Just gonna get that.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I thought you were going to talk here.
Oh, no. Everybody good?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a different, yes. I know, I serve on that committee too. It's a wonderful thing. It's wonderful to work together. Thank you. I know. You know, we're just trying to. Good night, everyone. Good night. Thank you so much. Good night, everyone. Good night.
Hey, Matt, do you want me to call you so that we don't have to have you on Zoom the whole time?
Yeah, that would work better.
All right, you can log out.
Take a sip for us.
Yeah, right.
Actually, I can grab.
Yeah, take a sip.
The name tag.
Good night. Thank you.